Jamaica, make we do the right thing. Make we live good today for a better tomorrow. Talk it out. Don't fight it out. The time by the Ministry of National Security is
6:30.
Good evening and welcome to Lead Story. I'm Joel Crossgill. Thank you for joining us. Senator Ramon Small Ferguson, a seasoned financial executive and CEO of Breeder Investments, says he plans to use his experience to drive debates on economic development and push for regulatory reforms in the financial sector. Meanwhile, Nikisha Burchell has made history as the first woman to represent St. James Southern in Parliament. The former PNP Deputy General Secretary and Communications Director won the seat in the September 3rd general election, promising to repair and rebuild her constituency with a strong focus on improving medical facilities. Tonight, both leaders speak about their expectations for this term, the issues they're most passionate about, and how they plan to shape Jamaica's future. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Senator Ramon Small Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Joel. Thanks for having me. Delighted to be here.
And first-time MP, Nikisha Burchell. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening, Joel. Good evening to your listeners and viewers.
Welcome, welcome. All right, so let's get straight into it. Senator, have you gotten used to being called Senator just yet?
Absolutely not. Sometimes I hear it and I don't respond. But it's certainly like everything else related to this, something that I'm still getting used to. It's a surreal feeling, and certainly, I mean, as I think I said elsewhere, the swearing in was really, when it hit me, you know, saying those words, I really felt my commitment to Jamaica coming through, you know, with that ceremony. So I'm getting used to it, Joe.
All right. And Nikisha, what about yourself? Are you feeling really up to it, fulfilling that title as a first-time MP?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I fought for this because I felt as if I had something to offer, and the people have blessed me with the opportunity to prove myself. So I feel blessed, I feel grateful, but I feel very much energized to take on this next term for the people of South St. James, because taking it on is taking it on for myself as well, because I live in South St. James myself.
That is true. That is very true. All right, so we're going to go into your experiences. Of course, the viewing public may be familiar with both of our guests this evening, but we want to get to know them a little bit more. So let's start with Senator Small Ferguson. Senator, could you tell us a bit about your journey into the political arena and becoming the first senator that's an alumnus of Morant Bay High School?
That's an interesting fact that I found out myself this week. Well, I mean, I guess the short version, Joel, is my path here, I think, one has been driven, I'd say, or motivated by the love that I have for Jamaica, and has been facilitated, I think, by my professional journey. I've been a financial services professional for over 10 years. I started my career with the Jamaica National Group and spent half of my career there, moving from the entry level to executive management. By the time I left, I would have had several roles focused on investments and finance, honing my craft there, and moved on to join Breeder Investments almost 7 years ago, just after the company was acquired by Cornerstone. I mean, here at Breeder, I've held 5 or 6 different roles, having responsibilities for different areas of the business. I've complemented that by really being very active at an industry level. I was secretary and then second VP, and now I'm in my 3rd term as president of the Jamaica Securities Dealers Association. And I have gotten to the stage where I was appointed as CEO of Breeder Investments last year, March. So I think, you know, my experience in the sector, all that I've done at the industry level, all that I've done in civic society, Salvation Army, the Council of Voluntary and Social Services, has blended together, I think, to lead me to the point where I've gotten this opportunity to serve the people of Jamaica via the Senate. That's, I think, it in a nutshell, the cliff notes of what has led me here.
And I would be correct in saying that you've done that all by the age of 33.
That's correct.
All right. With that point of information, we go to our break. Stay with us. Lead Story continues in a moment.
Join us next week when we conclude our discussion with Dr. Chambers on his success in the Tourism Enhancement Fund's Special Tourism Innovation Incubator Program and how he has been able to turn his innovative idea into a successful business.
This Saturday, September 27, rivals collide at the Jerusalem Mini Stadium. CVM's coverage of ISSA Schoolboy Football 2025 continues. Jamaica College face their biggest test of the opening round as they battle their newest foes, St. Andrew Technical, in the feature encounter at 4:30 p.m. Before that though, Holy Trinity and Hydel lock horns starting at 2 p.m. All four teams are in unfamiliar territory and that should make for a tasty doubleheader. JC versus Stats at 4:30 p.m. and Holy Trinity versus Hydel at 2 p.m. Rivals collide Saturday, September 27. See it happen on CVM, CVMTV.com, and CVM TV News on YouTube.
Welcome back to Lee's Story. Joining me are guests who are both passionate about how they plan to shape Jamaica's future from political platforms representing the nation. I'm joined by Senator Ramon Small Ferguson alongside Nikisha Burchell. Now, ahead of the break, we'd heard about the journey to this position in the Senate from Senator Ramon Small Ferguson. It's been a meteoric rise, certainly, but no less so Nikisha Burchell. She just burst onto the political scene and has had some amazing results so far. Could you tell us about your journey into representational politics from Garland's?
Yeah, Garland's is home. It would seem as if I just burst on the scene, but the truth is I've been working in the background in political communication specifically for some 15, 16 or so years now. I've been doing that in my private my work world rather, where I offer communication services to political campaigns, persons and teams across the region. But within the PNP, I've been working on political campaigns from as far back as People Power campaign in 2011 that saw us taking office. I was one of those newbies in political communication. Then I worked very closely with the then General Secretary, Peter Bunting, worked with him as General Secretary as well as in his constituency. So I've been getting some political tutoring from before I even knew I wanted to become a political representative in my own right. But South St. James came calling. It wanted a representative who was from the ground, who understood not just by reading, but from having felt it themselves or experienced it themselves, what it means to be a constituency that is left behind. A constituency that for the last 10 years has not really experienced any great development, perhaps because the representative we had wasn't from the constituency and couldn't truly appreciate what we were experiencing. So they knocked and I came answering. I said, you know, let me represent us. And I chose the People's National Party as a vehicle because I felt it more aligned with our desires, our aspirations, and had a better understanding and respect for our struggles as a deep rural constituency. So that is where my political journey started. But political communication is really my baby. That's really my training. And right now I bring to the table that experience of working in the background in politics. And I'm going to use that now to the benefit of South St. James.
Thank you very much for that. All right, so let's get into a little bit about what you both would like to accomplish from this first term here. Senator Small Ferguson, you're going to be going into the upper house. You said previously that you believe that debate across the aisle and constructive debate across the aisle is one of the most attractive features of you joining the upper house. Tell us your expectations not only of the Senate, but also of yourself when you enter into those prestigious hallways.
That's a good question, Joel. I mean, from my perspective, just looking at where Jamaica is in its history, and just thinking about the foundation and the sacrifice that we would have made that has led us to the state of economic stability dating back to 2013, when we would have negotiated the IMF deal and done the necessaries from a fiscal perspective to include embedding fiscal prudence in law. That dates back some 10 years, people don't remember. To now, we're at a state of fiscal stability. I think the focus now has to naturally remain on stability, but shift as well to expand the thinking through how we can achieve inclusive economic growth, right? And with economic growth, naturally needs to come a focus on sustainability. And the context of our country is important, right? If we think about our demographics, social protection also has to be at the fore, right? So from my perspective, even as that is a focus in the private sector, when I think about the impact that we as an entity have been focused on having through our work, just improving the lives of regular Jamaicans, as I think to the impact that I want to have through the upper house, it's really focusing on policies that can allow us to grow in a way that is inclusive and resilient. I mean, what I've brought to business is a solutions-oriented approach, right? I'm very big on data, and I intend to rely on that and my experience to help in the process of crafting legislation that helps us along the lines of what I mentioned. So that's really my expectation. Right?
Ms. Burchell, as you said, you're intimate with the messaging that comes across on these political campaigns. Senator Small Ferguson touched on something a moment ago about inclusive growth. How important is that to you and your constituents?
Well, it's of particular importance to me and the people in South St. James, because for a long time we felt as if our contribution to that national growth has been considered as secondary or even not important, and therefore that has been matched by the low rate of investment in our constituency. So I want to prove to this government, if they will give us an opportunity to make our case, that South St. James can become the model for rural development in Jamaica. We're deep rural, but we're rich. We're rich in heritage and history. We have this cultural product in Samuel Sharp, being the home of Samuel Sharp and the birthplace of the revolution that gave us the end to slavery in Jamaica and the region as we know it. We are also the birth home of the Maroons. We believe we have a product that can be packaged as a heritage tourism product and sold to the world, and of course, helping Jamaica with its growth agenda. We also have in South St. James the best agricultural product. We have the best soil. We also have, we're home to the best pineapples in Jamaica, turmeric, ginger, banana, of course, we were kings in that, but we want the kind of investment that will match the talent we have, as in the skills of our workers, but also the natural products we have here, our heritage tourism and our agriculture. I feel if we can get the government to see the potential here, invest in this, we can see tourists coming to Jamaica to go on a tour of our old route, the track that Sam Sharp took from Croydon in the mountains all the way over to Kensington and further on into Montego Bay, lighting flames of freedom. We can make tours out of this and give tourists what they've been asking for a long time, a more experiential kind of product from the Jamaican tourism product. We can in turn have our local artisans create those products that we do so well at, but we do not get an opportunity to showcase it. So we want to see things starting to be branded as coming from South St. James, coming from the home of Samuel Sharp, showing them that we have a product that is rich. But of course, our agricultural product, we're still selling our pineapples at base dollars. And when there's a glut, we get nothing from it. We want to get our people doing value added. We want to do our jams or purees or juices, bottling them, getting the agro-processing plants going that we had promised them had we been in office. If this government can catch that vision, South St. James promises to be an equal partner in the government's growth agenda. And
thank you, Ms. Burchell. Unfortunately, I have to go to a break really quickly. We'll be back in a moment. Stay with us. This is Lead Story.
Take flight. It's Aviation Expo 2025 in collaboration with the Airports Authority of Jamaica and the Jamaica Civil Aviation Authority, the island's ultimate aviation showcase and family fun day. Join us Saturday, October 4 from 12 to 8 p.m. at Tinson Penn Aerodrome in Kingston with show host Ian I.T. Ellis. And guess what? It's free. Plus, the JCAA and JDF will be recruiting. Follow at Aviation Expo JA for updates.
At Hawkeye, we work hard to develop state-of-the-art security solutions like our new Total Connect smart home automation system that gives you 24/7 access to control your appliances, lights, cameras, and doors using your smartphone, tablet, or PC. As the most trusted electronic security company in Jamaica, Hawkeye has the fastest response times to get to you when you need us most. Trust Hawkeye's Total Connect. Hawkeye, securing what matters.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us here on Lee's Store. We're looking at some of the new faces that are joining us in politics in this new term. Fresh faces in Parliament, we're calling it, and what to expect. We're still with Senator Ramon Small Ferguson and Nikisha Burchell. Ms. Burchell was speaking ahead of the break about the development plans that are coming ahead in South St. James and how inclusivity is certainly central towards that ambition. I'm going to pivot the discussion slightly for the time being. I'd like to ask Senator this following question. Now, some people feel uncomfortable with political legacies in Jamaica, where the son or daughter of a politician also enters in the political sphere. Now, you as the son of a very prominent MP in Jamaica, how have you approached the task?
So, good question, Joel. I recognize that Jamaica has a history of, I guess you can call it, political families, and that can create some perceptions. But I mean, from my perspective, I think, my journey into politics has been, I suppose, a bit unconventional. I think I've been drafted from the private sector by virtue of the work that I've done there, my track record, and what I can potentially bring to the table in collaborating with my fellow senators to advance the agenda of the Jamaican people. And it hasn't been a traditional route, but I do think that it stands on its own. That being said, I think children naturally draw inspiration from their parents. I mean, there are a number of second and third generation doctors and lawyers. I think that's something that you can probably relate to yourself, Joel. So it's not unusual to see children drawing inspiration from their parents as it relates to their career path. I mean, my father, Dr. Fenton Ferguson, he built a legacy that I think he can certainly be proud of service to Jamaica. 3 decades of giving to the people of Jamaica. And I now have an opportunity to give in this way. I mean, certainly don't take it for granted. It's an awesome responsibility, and I'm going to do my best with what I have, with what I bring to the table, and hopefully my work will justify my position here. That's my job to do.
All right, Nikisha. Now, when we're looking at political generations, I think one of the exciting factors about this recent electoral cycle is the fact that we have a number of new faces, and we seem to be having a younger cohort of political representatives. How important do you feel as though this new generation of politicians entering into the public eye and really developing themselves in the public space, how important is it that their message resonates with what appears to be some apathy in the broader electorate? Ms. Burchell, are you with us?
I was muted, sorry. So the issue of political apathy is a real problem that we have to contend with as political actors in the space. But I think it's extremely important that Jamaica has been waiting for fresh leadership, and this new generation of politicians have a duty, we have a duty to rebuild trust and somehow help to get over this apathy. People are tired of politics that feels distant and self-serving. Our job is to speak directly to their daily struggles, the water, the housing, the jobs, but not just those, because those have been around for so long, but we have to show through our actions that politics can work for them in real ways. So I'm part of that millennial class of politicians who, we come at a really nice, sweet spot. We are old enough to understand the dreams, the aspirations, and the plans and the desires of those who came before us, our parents, or grandparents' generation. But we also are so much in tune with pop culture and social tools and digital era that we can also understand what the younger generation is looking for. We're that bridge, we're that conduit for them so that they can each understand each other, but we can translate into policies, into pieces of legislation, things that really represent what they want. So they're tired of hearing about Bustamante and Norman Manley era and what they fought for, even though those were great things. They want to know what's in it for them now and for them tomorrow and for their children. I think that it will be our task as the new faces of politics to speak their language and use the policy levers to make sure that it works for government, still keeping the goal growth agenda in mind, but also representing them.
Senator, I was wondering, how will your role in the Senate impact your many other responsibilities in the corporate world?
So, Joel, it was a part of my consideration before accepting the role, because it's important for me to be able to give what is deserved to the Jamaican people. But the truth is that I have an excellent support system, specifically in my substantive role at Burita. I have a very strong team, and we have very mature governance structure. So in my role here as CEO will remain unchanged, but with respect to my responsibilities in the Senate, they're additive, and I don't see them at all as a distraction, right? So effectively, I'll have a split and dual focus, and I've already built up very strong support systems to ensure that I can deliver in a way that represents the quality that Jamaican people deserve on both sides of the fence, whether it's continuing to have impact through the private sector and now having been given this opportunity to really give through public service. So I'm not concerned at all. I just have to be a even more organized Joe.
Absolutely, it's going to take a lot of organization. Nikisha, what about yourself in opposition, in terms of the role that you play as an opposing force, but also an influential force in terms of providing counter-arguments, different ways of thinking of how to approach development in Jamaica? How active are you able to be as an MP in such a very busy time where you have so many other different things that you have to attend to?
Well, when I decided to take up representational politics, it was a decision I came to after discussion with my partners in business as well as with my family. So they understood that a lot of the things I had to carry before would now have to be shared. But it is a busy time, and that's exactly what the people elected me for. They elected me because they know that I can manage both national duties and constituency service. As an opposition MP, for me, my role is twofold. I'm sorry, I make no apologies. I'm going to have to hold the government accountable and to put forward constructive alternatives to what it is that they are proposing. That means being active in Parliament, and they're not going to get a backbencher. They don't want a bench warmer as they had in the last term. They want somebody who's going to come there with the private motions, who is going to listen, who's going to be prepared, who's going to be on the committees, who is going to ensure that the government dots the I's and cross the T's. But they also want someone who's going to be in the field, in the constituency with them. So I've divided my time almost equally, with, of course, more weighted towards the constituency and being on the ground because it's such a huge constituency. But at the same time, I'm going to ensure that I get prepared for Parliament, I get the support that I need to get there, but the people on the ground will see me working for the things I promised them: water, roads, jobs, coming up with things that can help our students in school to stay on track and stay focused, because my dream is to make South St. James the model for rural development. You'll hear me say it 50 times, and that's not going to happen with someone who's going to sit down and complain that they're too busy to get the job done.
All right, I only have 30 seconds remaining.